Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. The Man in the Lens back again with another video. So the most important camera in the Fuji lineup, I think for me, has to be the XT1. And this camera is so sought after that it doesn't even make sense that the camera this old could really be as popular as it is right now. And it looks like the older the Fuji gets, as I said before, the more difficult it is to get and the more expensive they become. So this camera is the precursor to all the goodness and grace of Fuji that has been able to release over the years, and they've taken a cue as to what customer like, and our customer really want the camera to be improved, and they've put everything in the camera that came after the XT1 in terms of the XT line, at least as I can say. So, and that camera is the XT2, and I am very lucky to have the XT1 and the XT2. And then from there are incremental changes and maybe very minimal upgrade until we go to the XT5 with a very big megapixel change, the improvement in terms of video capability, the 10 bits and all the codecs and everything like that. So I'm just going to keep this in the XT family so far, because there's so much we can talk about when it comes to Fuji, because you have so many X series of the Fuji cameras. You have the XA line, you have the XE line, you have the X100 series as well, and you have the X Pro also. So all of those cameras have their own probably video to be made about, but at this moment, or this right moment, on this video, I'm only going to focus on the two cameras that I have a lot more experience on, and that I'm very accustomed to, which is the XT1 as well as the XT2. I am going to compare them and just show you some of the improvements from one camera to the other, but most importantly, how this really defined the path for Fuji to become such a popular camera brand. So the XT1 was released, I believe, in 2013, just after the XA1, which is a CMOS sensor, and here we have the X-Trans2 sensor, which is considered one of the best Fuji sensor. So this is a 16 megapixel opposed to a 24 megapixel, if I am correct. Yes, 24 megapixel. So these are X-Trans CMOS sensor. It's a CMOS sensor with let's say Fuji source on it, because they don't interpret color like any other camera. They just look always very different, especially with the X-Trans2 sensor. This just looks very different. The blues on this color and all the pastel looks on the color just looks very different. And some of the improvement is, first of all, as I said, going from the 16 megapixel to the 24 megapixel, which is quite a big improvement in terms of megapixel counts, about a 30% increase, which means that you can have sharper photos and a little bit more to work with in terms of photos. You have that hybrid phase contrast autofocus, which is much more improved on the XT2 compared to the XA1. You still can shoot continuous autofocus, and you also have better ISO range. For example, you can shoot at ISO 100 on this camera. You can't shoot at ISO 100. It's 100. Here it's 200 to 6,800, and you have 6,400. Sorry, you have 100. Here to 12,800, which can be expanded all the way to 25,000 or 51,200, which I'll never probably do that. But there is something pleasing about the ISO noise in these Fujis, because they really are different from your normal noise. I shot a photo recently at ISO 4,000 in a store, and it was really good, and I'll put it here. This photo was shot at ISO 4000, and I don't find anything wrong with it. It's pretty much usable, and this is from a XT1. This camera is very old, and my other cameras, I don't think I'll be able to get away with that. So let's just get a bit closer here, because this one is getting a little bit personal. The biggest improvement you'll find in this camera is probably from here to there is the video capability, because you can shoot 4K now here. This one doesn't shoot 4K, it caps at 1080p 60 frames per second. Here we have 4K 30 frames per second, and I use this camera a lot for videos. The last video that I posted, where I did everything, was here, and it can be shot in f-log. It didn't shot f-log at the beginning, then this was added as time went on. I don't know on which firmware upgrade, but it was updated there. You have quite a lot of firmware updates on these cameras, which is something that Fuji is well known for. They don't do much of it anymore. I think on some of the newer camera they have like firmware update 7 or something like that. Now on the XT1 it's firmware upgrade 5.4. On the XT2 it's firmware upgrade 4.2. So yeah, you can definitely see the difference, and they really pushed this camera, the sensor listed to the limit. And those are like inside differences between the camera, but one of the biggest upgrade from this camera comes in the physical ergonomic touch of the camera. You can see this one feels a little bigger, just slightly bigger than the XT1. You can see for the same in terms of sizes, they don't compare much. It's a little, just slightly higher. So why are there those differences? For example, in terms of ports, this one has obviously the old ports and all those other stuff. A micro HDMI, which is very surprising because this camera is a micro HDMI, whereas the XT1 has like a mini HDMI, which is very strange. I don't understand. I never understand why. The EVF is obviously much better on this one than on this one, but I wouldn't really put so much difference in it. And you have a screen that can flip, obviously, like the normal Fuji, flips up, down, and it also can go like tilt on the side. Unfortunately, with the XT1, you can only flip up and down like this. So there is no other movement you can do on this. So up here it pretty much looks the same, I do believe, beside the record button that has been moved. And this record button tackles the video right away. On this one we have rather a switch which goes all the way around to the video mode. They've changed it into like from the XT3 I believe to the XT5, and most of the things up here look pretty much the same, which is good to see. And the front looks identical. There is not much difference. You have your focus selector here, manual, continuous or single point autofocus. You have a custom button here that you can customize. In top here you have a function button, and both of them you actually do have a function button. On the back here it's where it changes a little bit, where you have like a few more buttons on the XT1, less button, but you have an advantage of added joystick, which is good, especially when you are changing focus point. Here, if you have to change focus point, you have to go to the dial button. So those are some of the differences. You can only shoot with one SD card on the XT1. You can shoot with two SD cards. They don't do continuous writing on both cards, but having two is good for redundancy. So, and also this dial here is also a button. Actually, both dial, you can press them. I don't know, I've never set them to anything, but you can just, on these ones you can't, unfortunately. They take the same battery, the lamentable, very bad battery. So that's pretty much it. So I mean, in terms of comparing those camera, there's quite an improvement, especially aesthetically. There's quite an improvement, and this is, I think, now Fuji design of choices or up to the XT5. So the XT4, they did that flip out screen, not the flip up and down, and people didn't like it so much, they criticized. I actually want the XT4 because I think that camera is good for video. If I'm not able to get an XS20, I'll probably get an XT4. And yeah, so pretty much that is for these two cameras in terms of how they compare. And in terms of photography, this is where it gets a little bit weird, because I personally shoot, when it comes to my own stuff, I shoot a bit more with my XT1 than with my XT2. The XT2, I feel like it's a workhorse camera. I have two extra batteries for this camera, which I always have with me charged. And I like the fact that you can actually charge the battery straight into when you plug into like power on the camera, which is something I think all camera brands should do. You can't actually do it with this one. I've never tried, but yeah, I don't think you are able to do charging your battery with the XT1. But I feel like this one just gives me a little bit more of that experience of shooting, and which is something that Fuji users really are after, because we enjoy shooting our Fuji camera. Fuji doesn't really feel like a camera for you to work with. It's more like a camera that is a companion. And one thing that I maybe also forgot to mention is the shutter button here on top. You have like a screw you can customize. I do have this gold shutter button that I do add, but they keep on falling because I don't know what's wrong with the screws. They just keep on falling. I'll put the last one, and if it falls, I'm probably gonna put another one. People will generally put like a one with glue on these ones. And yeah, so that's pretty much it about this camera. There are not a lot of ergonomic changes, but they are quite improvement. Literally, you can feel from the XT1 to the XT2, that was 2 years apart in terms of release, and they have refined quite a lot of things. And I think on the XT5, I've held that camera. It actually feels very good in the hand. It feels a bit more weighted as well. Even between these two, I can already feel a bit more weight on the XT1. Obviously, I'm using a quite a bigger lens compared to the tiny lens that I have on my XT1. So the XT2 feels much more improved and much more refined, obviously, than the XT1. But in terms of experience, you will ask any Fuji user, they still enjoy this camera. I'm actually thinking about grabbing a battery group for this one, because I might actually use this camera as well for professional work, maybe a wedding or so, just to get those nostalgic colors that this camera offers you. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys, and use the enhancer to edit your photo. All the photos that you've been seeing here have been edited with the enhancer. This is how I get this film look. I don't have to rely on Fuji simulation. I enjoy using the enhancer. I've been using it now for quite some times, and I can definitely recommend it. And you have 10% off if you use my code on checkout. Use the enhancer, get 10% off, and get yourself a product that really improve your color grading and your editing. We'll see you guys in the next video, and peace out.